Good morning and welcome to Valley Views. I'm your host, Glenn Edison. We're certainly glad to have you. And as always, we want to thank BTC Fiber for hosting our program. And you can see our program on BTC Fiber's YouTube page as well as their cable channel 18. So we thank them very much for hosting our program. And today we have with us Terri Johnson. She's the Center Director for Volunteer Behavioral Health. And Terri, it's good to have you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And as always, let's get a little history on volunteer behavioral health. How long has it been around here in the Valley? I know it hadn't always been here.
Right. Well, we were in Jasper for many years since the 90s. And we felt like it was too far of a trip for people to drive from Dunlap, Whitwell, Pikeville to us. So we've opened an office here in Dunlap, and we've had it for probably 10 years, but it was just like a satellite office. You know, you could just go in and meet with your care manager and, you know, get what you need. And we felt like it was time that we needed to open one full blast here. So that's what we've done.
And I know just recently you had your ribbon cutting because you had your open house and you remodeled and everything. It's really nice. It's a really nice place.
Oh, it looks gorgeous now, and people feels at home there. We decorated up where we feel like you're coming home. So.
Well, and it's right there off of Fredonia Road, just right. That building's been several things.
yes, it was an old skating ring at one time, and I used to skate there when I was a kid. So, yeah.
So it's been several things, but now we're glad you're there. And now. I guess one of the things I wanted to talk about, maybe you do too, we talk about people a lot of times that have anxiety issues or depression.
Yes.
And I'm sure you see quite a bit of that.
Oh yes, depression is the #1 mental illness in this country right now.
And I know especially since, probably since COVID, it's really increased. I know you saw a lot of people, there was a lot of recorded suicides and things because people got locked in.
Right.
And
we're still going through some of that. People are struggling, you know, with jobs and trying to take care of their family. You know, they cut food stamps a little bit, so people's having a hard time keeping food and keeping their power on and stuff. COVID has really been dynamic for this area.
I know one lady in particular, she got an 82-cent raise, and that 82 cents kicked her off of food stamps.
Yes.
You know, 82 cents, you think, well, less than $1, but that's a lot for people.
It is. And when you lose something that you used to having, all of a sudden and you're without, then, you know, that's very power over your mind. What am I going to do? How am I going to take care of my family? All of that stuff.
Yeah, and so a depression, there's a lot of things that cause depression. I mean, I guess your list could go forever on depression.
It goes from I lost my job, I can't find a job, to, you know, I lost a loved one or a parent, or, you know, grief will do that. And also any kind of illness. They'll tell you in a minute. A heart problem usually will turn into a depression problem during the issues that you're having with your heart. And so it all kind of relates to your health also.
Right, and so many things can set people off, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because people, there's some people that they let things ride. You know, it goes on over the shoulder, and it doesn't bother them like others. So everybody's different.
Yes.
So you can't say, well, you should get over this, or this is, you know, because it might take them longer to get over.
A lot of people with grief, I'll give that example. A lot of people say get over it, you know, they're gone, you need to move forward. But if you've been married to this person for 40 years, you know, and every day you woke up to this person beside you, that is devastating. And it's life-changing. And sometimes people aren't able to discuss it with anybody else because they don't want anybody else to know they're like that.
Right, and that's the thing too, is the quietness, because people don't. Well, you don't broadcast that you're having trouble.
Sure.
And naturally, none of us do. But when you're having depression or anxiety issues, that's something that you need to tell somebody so that it doesn't go further.
Sure. I mean, we have people at our office. We're bound by HIPAA.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody know what HIPAA is, you can't release anything without your permission written down.
Right.
So we have people you can talk to, you know, that it's not going to go any further. And we're not going to say you're crazy, like
Right.
some people feel that I go in there, they're going to think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
No, we're not. We know these issues with certain things can cause depression, cause mental illness. And mental illness is not what it used to be.
No.
Used to, you know, in the 60s and the 50s, they put people in straitjackets and put them in rooms. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's not like that anymore. We try to help people. We try to show them you can talk about this. We can help you learn to cope with it better.
Uh-huh.
Then you can move whichever way you want to in your life.
Right, because I know, like you said, a lot of people they don't talk about it, and when they don't, it just all builds up, and they start thinking crazy things. And, you know,
It does, and you know, part of the crime that we have is from somebody that's been through something, haven't been able to talk about it, and they feel like, you know, their self-esteem is on the floor.
Yeah.
And they feel like I have nowhere to turn. And so they will do crimes, and you know, it's a shame that we don't have it where people just come in, and we have an open door policy. If you're having problems, come in. Let us get you started. We'll get you talking with some people. We'll help you with your resources if you need food and things, any of that stuff. But we can't help you if we don't know.
Right. I mean, if you don't know, like you said, you cannot help. You don't know where to start.
Right.
And it could be, like say, in mental health issues, it's not just for a lower class citizens.
No.
It touches everybody.
Oh yes, it touches a lot of people. And I'll give myself as example. I lost my husband. He was of 35 years, and we were very close, and it was devastating. You lose your friends that you used to have together. You lose everybody around you, and you're alone now.
Yeah.
If you've got family, that's great. They will help you, but you have to learn the steps. Grief is a process. You go through so many steps to get to where you can deal with it. And anger's one of them. You get frustrated, it's one of them. Your anxiety gets high, and there's a lot of steps that you need to talk with somebody and help them get you through those so you can do what you want to do.
Right. I mean, I know I've had a lot of, in my life, I've had a lot of medical issues, had a liver transplant and several other things.
Exactly.
And there's been times I've told my wife, I said, I'm just going to get me a punching bag downstairs and put heart issue, health, you know, and put all the different issues and just start punching.
Right. So that was therapy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and so that, of course, I'm a little different in a lot of ways, because I think my feeling is if you wake up in the morning, it's going to be a great day.
Right.
That's what I try to tell everybody on my radio station.
Exactly.
And no matter if you are sick, it's still going to be a great day if you wake up. And I like to help people look towards things.
Yes.
And see it's going to be a great day, and especially like with the sun out. Because you get, for example, shut-ins.
Yes.
When it's a dark, gloomy day, or during the winter where you can't get out,
Exactly.
and they get depressed just from being inside all the time.
COVID was a fine example of what people had to do. They would stay in their homes. They were afraid to get out. People were dying left and right. they isolated themselves, and some of them are still isolating themselves. It's taken a lot for people to get confident enough to be able to go back out again and live your life. And when you sit in a house, depressed, can't go out, things goes through your mind.
Yes.
And you get down, and you feel like, is this the way this is going to be the rest of my life? You know, and it's very hard for people to learn to do that sometimes on their own.
Well, I know my wife and I, we were both teachers for 30 years. And I've tried to tell people that they don't quite understand it. I said, a new teacher, their first year, they're going to get sick because they run into all these snotty-nosed kids, and I don't mean that in a
But
bad
it's
way.
true.
But they get sick because they're not around all these. I said, but after you get there a year or two and you get immune to some of this stuff, I said, you're there every day around all these sicknesses, but you kind of build immunity to it. And
well, you know, kids are going through the measles, the mumps, and all that stuff, and so and their immune system is not like it when you get grown. So they have a lot of things that they bring in, and then I'm sure it gets passed around between all the kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happens with the COVID this year, or this last year. People, it just kind of went from one family to the other. I know we lost a family of 4.
Really?
Yeah. One called it 1 by 1, and they just dropped off 1 by 1.
Oh.
So it was very difficult for people, and when you do that and you go through that, and you have to do that alone, you know, I have no one left in this world. What am I going to do? You know, and that's the reason I wanted to get out and start talking about volunteer in our services, because I want you to know there is help out there. We are there to help. We will help you any way possible that we can.
Now, how do they, first of all, how if someone, I know the local authorities get in touch with you, but how does someone get in touch with you if either they themselves or a loved one needs help?
You can call our intake line, or you can just walk in our facility at Fredonia, or at Jasper if you're listening from Jasper. Either location, and we have an over-on-door policy. If you want to start services, walk in there, we'll get you set up. It's not a problem.
And I imagine, I'm just assuming because I'm not involved the behavioral health, but I'm assuming sometimes that's kind of hard for y'all too. Y'all deal with this and on a regular basis, even though y'all are trained in this stuff.
Well,
but y'all still human.
Yes, we're still human, but we have an extraordinary group of staff who not only help everyone else, we help each other. So we talk to each other and we say, you know, I have this client, you know, and I need to get through to them. I want to help them. And I'm having a hard time dealing with it because I lost a loved one, you know. And we talk about it just like a client would come in and talk to someone about the same thing. And we help us get through it. And that's how people can get through it, if they'll just give us a chance to help them.
Right. Well, and you mentioned your intake line. Do you have that number?
I do. It's 1-877-567-6051. That's our intake line. You call and tell them you want to get into services, you want to be whichever office you want to go to, and they'll get you hooked up.
Or I guess I'm assuming they could contact the local authorities if they needed something real quick. They could call and say,
"Oh yeah, any kind of crisis situation, you always call 988. That's the crisis line for Tennessee right now."
Oh, okay.
And we have the adult crisis services for Tennessee right now. So you can call our 24-hour crisis line, 800-704-2651, and they will talk with you immediately.
Oh, okay, good. That was one of my questions about the 24/7. I figured y'all had a line, but
we do. We and a lot of people call that just to talk and say, you know, I'm having this issue, you know, and they'll get you hooked in with the intake line. If it's something immediate, they'll get that taken care of. They can go to a nearby hospital, and they will call crisis from there. If you're having an issue with a family member or something and they're just out of control, you can get them to a hospital, and the hospital will call us to come in.
Right, because everything don't happen from 9 to 5.
No. And a lot of stuff happens at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when everybody's at home and things going on at home, you're interacting a lot. And, you know, of course, I know y'all seen, it seems like there's a lot of violence sometimes within families or even friends or neighbors. You know, they seem like that goes on a lot. And
all the time.
And a lot of times it's things that just don't click, which wouldn't bother you or I, but it might bother somebody else.
Yes.
And sets them off. And,
yes, it would.
And so I'm sure y'all deal with that all the time.
Oh yeah. And we try to take care of that the best that we can. You know, we're not after having them arrested. That's not going to help them.
Right.
They need to be in the services and us help them there. And sometimes I mean, they get into trouble. But we're working on services with the jail now to try to help that situation. So the ones that have stolen food and got into trouble, or their depression and anxiety was so bad they got into trouble. You know, we're going to help them.
Well, a lot of times, I know I've talked to several law enforcement officials, like the drug problems. A lot of the smaller users, they just need rehab.
Right.
They don't need to spend time in jail, because that doesn't help them. They come right back out and do the same thing over.
Exactly.
So rehab is a way to go.
Right. And we have a detox unit. You know, so we can send you to our detox unit. They'll take care of helping you get through that. We got all the new stuff to help them get through that. We want to see you come off and not die, for one thing, because the fentanyl thing in this area is ridiculous.
It's terrible.
And it scares me with people just going out and getting things like that, because they don't know what it's with, not what it's laced with.
Right.
And so you're risking your life and your family every time you do that. So we want to help you get through that. You can come off.
Yeah.
But you've got to be willing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Do you have I know some of the police programs try to take people out of, like, for example, if they have problems here, they try to take them out of Sequatchie County and put them somewhere else in another program away from home. Do y'all do something similar to that?
Well, we have CSU unit, which is a temporary unit to get you in, let you talk with people, get you stabilized again, and then they release those to the individual facilities, and we continue the care.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
That works. I guess, well, we talked about the undiagnosed. I guess there's a lot that do go undiagnosed, right?
Oh, yes, every day.
And then you don't know about them until you hear about them sometimes on the news.
Yeah, we have that, and we take care of that when they walk in. We now have our SBBHL in the schools. They're helping with behavioral issues there. They're helping the parents understand that this is a mental health issue and helping them get the services they need for the children. We're going to start them out early and get them stable early.
Right. A lot of people, since you mentioned the children and the parents, a lot of parents have a hard time understanding that it is a mental health issue.
Yes.
They don't want to accept that. They want to think that their child is normal or perfect, you know, and I understand that.
Right.
But sometimes there's just issues that need to be dealt with.
Well, the schools see so much, you know, and the parents send them to school, and they don't want people knowing that their kids have a mental illness. But if you don't address it, when they become adults, it will come back to haunt them.
Yes.
And then we dealing with grown folks like this. That's part of the issue, is it needs to be recognized that there is a problem, and that's what we're trying to do being in the schools right now.
Uh-huh.
And we're also going into the health departments
Uh-huh.
because they have a lot of people coming in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So we're trying to get it out there that there is services out there. It's nothing to be ashamed of to have mental illness. Mental illness is depression. Mental illness, you go through grief. It's a number of things.
Uh-huh.
It's not just bipolar, schizophrenia, all that stuff anymore. Mental health affects you in every form of life.
Right, it does.
So we want to get it out there, so we're trying to help the children early. I have parents every day come in, I don't know what to do. I just don't know how to handle anymore.
Well, and too, parents see their child every day, and parents, of course, are not necessarily trained.
Right.
They're just parents. You don't get training to be a parent.
No, you get that. It's not a
On-job
101.
training,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not a 101 course to get you through parenthood. You
Yeah.
learn it as you go.
And then, and you try, and I know parents try a lot of things, and if it don't work, then you try something else. But sometimes, like you say, they're at their wits' end because they have tried everything.
Yes, and they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And they're being destructive at home. They're being destructive at school. They're causing disruptions at school. They're not able to get their learning from the teachers because they're so disruptive.
Right.
Because they're going through something they can't physically work out on their own because they're young.
Right. And a lot of times, since we mentioned the home, a lot of times it's things at home. It could be that they have a discipline issue because they don't want to mind.
Yeah.
But then it could be that there's things going on at home that the school system's not aware of, and
Right.
of course they're not being told, and that causes a lot of problems.
And that's exactly the reason we got them in the counselors and the SBBHL in school now. Is to help us let these children know we're here to help you. We want to help you get through this. And build that bond with these children. Once you build rapport and bond with these children, they will tell you anything.
Yeah,
They
they will.
And that way we can get to the bottom line of what's going on with them, and we can help them.
Uh-huh.
And we can go out to the home. We can help get it figured out with the parents. So there's a lot to this that people don't understand. If they're having behavioral problems, sending them to school, sometimes just by themselves like that don't work.
No, and a lot of times being at schools are safe haven.
Yes.
Instead of being in a situation where I remember one year I taught 7th grade, and I remember a student that this family had 5 children, and this student had all the meth burns on his arm.
Right.
And we knew, we could tell, and they went out. They had where they lived. They had a camper and a tent. It was in the middle of the winter, and the police went out and did a well check, and they said, "Oh no, we live over here in the camper. This tent's just where we store our stuff."
Right.
Well, they didn't believe them, and they came back one night during the night, and the guy was cooking meth in the camper, and they were sleeping in the tent. So there were 5 children that got displaced that very evening.
They were absorbing the meth.
Yeah,
and that affects the children too. A lot of that stuff, children just take things as they go because they can't do anything else.
Right. And they had no control over where they lived and what their parents did.
Right.
And they were just there. And so I'm sure that has a lot to do with some mental illness and depression and anxiety from kids when they get pulled from the homes, and
Sure.
the only thing they know is their mom and daddy, and of course most kids love their mom and daddy.
Oh yeah, even if their mom and daddy has beat them, I've seen kids still love their parents, but they don't understand why this keeps happening to them, And they go through a lot of trauma. Some children's going through so much trauma, not just children, teenagers right now. With social media going on, and
Yes.
they get so much information, and sometimes it's the wrong information, and they learn behaviors from those things, and it makes it very difficult for parents.
Right, and and you mentioned social media. That's it's good and bad.
Yeah.
It's good to have the information where you can search stuff if you need to research stuff.
Exactly.
But then you get all these things like the TikTok and all these other programs where these people post
Right.
stuff, and some of them do crazy things on there, and,
Yes.
and they get copied, and people try to do them like just a few years ago, the cinnamon challenge,
Yes.
and and it was actually killing people.
Yes. Yes. And children, when they don't have anything else and all they're doing is sitting there looking at this media, that's what they're learning.
Yeah.
And then they take that and run with it.
Right. So that's not good.
No.
Now, do y'all have speaking of social media, do y'all have a web page or social media that people can use to get in contact with you?
We do have a web page, but if you call these numbers, and the numbers should be on the web page,
Oh, okay.
the Facebook page. So, and we have a web page that you can look up. It tells you all of our locations, where they're located, numbers to call, all that.
Okay, good. Of course, we've already covered that. Now, how can, do you have any suggestions? Maybe we've talked about this some, but maybe how people can deal with depression and anxiety? How can they, maybe at home, or I know there's, of course, some people take medication. I know that's one way.
Right.
For some of those, medication might work, but medication doesn't always work for everybody.
No. And doing it at home is sometimes very difficult, because if you're alone there or you've got somebody you can't talk to about things, you're just going to suffer in silence.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I'm saying. Come in, talk with us. We won't go any further. We want to get you in, let you be able to discuss things, and try to work through this so you can start functioning again.
Yeah, because that's the big thing, is being able to function again. 'Cause,
Yes.
until you actually deal with the issue, you'll never be able to function.
No, because a lot of people turns to alcohol, turns to drugs, because they get that high feeling for a little while,
Yeah,
but then when they come down, they want more, and then they get
Yeah.
hooked on this stuff.
yeah,
So it makes it difficult.
it sure does. Well, is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to bring out that maybe we need to talk about?
No, just come in. If you can call us, we can help you get through it. Call any of our lines. Our main line right now is 942-3961, and we have a Dunlap number too. I don't think I've got it on me. I don't call myself very much. But I'm sure you can
Look
look
at
it
that
up.
volunteer behavior health.
Just look up volunteer behavioral health, and it'll give you the number. It's a 949 number. And if you don't know what to do, call one of our managers there at the office and talk with us. We'll help you get through it to where you need to get that help. But call us.
And I guess as always, as a last resort, if they had to, they could call 911, get a police or somebody to help at least get them in the right.
Yes, if you have a crisis in your area, call them. They know what to do, and they can get them to the hospital if it's something that they see is out of control, and then they will reach us at crisis.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being with us today, and thank you, because this is a big hot issue. I know it's getting more and more. There's more and more patients, and more
And
and
the
more
governor's
people.
getting behind it, so
Yeah.
he sees it,
Well, that's
which is a
good,
fantastic thing.
because we need to deal with it. It's not something we need to take lightly, because you never know. Because sometimes a I say normal, someone without anxiety or depression may be okay, and then something happens, and then it
Yeah, and
throws them off.
and that's what happens to a lot of people. I mean, some of the active shooters we've had before, they just clicked, and they just reacted.
Mhm.
Where, if we could just get them to come in, let's talk about this stuff, let's get through this stuff. There's a lot of mental illness out there, and people need to reach out for the help. There is help out there, and I'll be glad to help you get there.
All right, good. Well, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you for being with us. And as always, you can see this program on BTC Fiber's YouTube page and BTC Fiber's cable channel 18. So until next time, have a great day. Hey everybody, this is Glenn Edison from Valley Views. We appreciate you watching our shows, and we would like for you to like, share, and follow us on Facebook, as well as like and subscribe to our YouTube page.